Welcome back. The organisation Undoing Tax Abuse, or OUTA, says that former South African Airways board chairperson Dudu Myeni ruined her own reputation during her tenure at the airline. Myeni this week filed papers suing the civil rights organisation for 8 million rand for defamation over an October tweet alleging she was responsible for massive corruption at SAA. Now, both are currently in court as OUTA wants Myeni to be declared a delinquent director due to the airline's dire financial situation. And to discuss this further, we're joined now by advocate Stefanie Fick, the head of legal affairs at OUTA. And thank you so much for coming through. So, firstly, let's start with Dudu Myeni's defamation case against OUTA now. What do you make of that, given that this has been going on, at least your efforts to try and declare her a delinquent director for some time?
Well, let's just start off by saying we haven't received any papers. We haven't been served formally with any papers. So I can actually not sort of confirm or deny even what she's claiming. What we know is what's in the media, or what's reported in the media, allegedly suing us for defamation, 8 million, and it's about this tweet. So in all fairness is that we actually don't know. We don't know the basis for her saying this. But it's probably par for the course. We are in court as a civil activist organisation with SAPA trying to declare her delinquent director. And one has to wonder whether, where does this come from all of a sudden? A tweet that allegedly is about 2 months old all of a sudden is now damaging to your reputation. But we look forward to receiving the papers, and we'll look at the papers and then defend, because it was definitely not our intention at all to defame anyone.
So looking to the delinquency case now, and this is a very serious charge for any director. Yes. So talk to us about, what your evidence is that you will be presenting in order to have Dudu Myeni declared delinquent.
So delinquency is all about, if I can maybe explain it this way, is about her actions. So it's about what she did while she was chairperson of at the SAA. And maybe I can start by saying it's, for example, the BNP Capital deal, the Airbus deal, the Emirates deal. The fact that with BNP Capital, this was a company that was appointed to do as transaction advisor with not a lot of previous experience. Luckily, the contract was cancelled because the FSB license, they didn't have a license, or it wasn't renewed. That was luckily cancelled, but then in the next moment what we hear is that they're going to get a huge cancellation fee that was never part of the original contract, so that was also stopped. So it stopped. So it is all actions in that regard that we are going to try and say what we believe. Court, look at all this evidence. We believe that as a chairperson, you expect better. And this is the reason why we believe the court should declare her delinquent director.
But we know that Dudu Myeni has applied, or at least tried to apply for some of the other board members who served with her on that board to essentially bear collective responsibility for those decisions. Isn't that a valid point?
Let me explain it this way. This is about her status. So when you are declared, that's how I explain it. When you're declared a delinquent director, it means you can't sit on any boards for a number of years. Hopefully the court will agree with us and declare a delinquent director, and she can't be a director for at least 7. So it's about what you can do as a person or not. Now, her delinquency is not dependent on anyone else's delinquency. So let's say, for example, you were also a board member. OUTA will have to prove that not only Dudu, but also you were a delinquent. So the court can find her a delinquent director without you being there.
But why are you going after Dudu Myeni specifically? Because, and which is why I ask whether her point is not a valid one, because there's an entire board of directors who collectively take these decisions. So why single out Dudu Myeni as opposed to taking all of the directors who sat on that board and made those decisions jointly and have them all declared delinquent?
It's a valid point, but our case is specifically against Dudu Myeni.
But why?
She was the chairperson. I think of all the people, she is at the helm of the board, and not only the board, also SAA. SAA, very important, SOE, and we all know in what trouble they are currently. So part of the thinking is that, she was the person that we all looked up to and trust to look after the governance and so forth at the SAA. Plus the evidence points to the fact that she's the one that was sort of responsible for all these delinquent acts, if you want to call it.
But when you say that, what evidence do you have to back that up? Because again, when the board sits, Dudu Myeni does not sit there by herself. There needs to be a board that collaborates in order to take decisions, which means there needs to be other members with her. So why her alone?
There is some of the decisions that was only taken by her. There's some of the decisions.
Such as?
If I'm not, the Airbus deal. So let's talk about the Airbus deal. Hopefully you will remember that she was in trouble with the CIPC because the board originally authorized 10 airplanes. She then went somewhere along the line, decided they wanted to change the deal because they want some other partners in there as well. She then, instead of saying the board gave me permission for 10, changed it and said, no, the board actually said 2 airplanes. And that decision was never taken. So for that example, she took that, she by herself took that decision. And that's why we say, just that in terms of the PFMA and all of that, that is enough evidence to show that she is delinquent. If, for example, there's more evidence and other people are also implicated, we may very well decide to go after each and every one because that's what we want. We're going out there asking people to support us because it's extremely important for us to challenge maladministration and corruption. And, it's being held accountable. So if there's other board members that has to be held accountable because evidence comes up and it shows, we may very well decide to go after each and every one. But at this point in time, we believe that the evidence point to her delinquency. We didn't decide of all the board members, we're going to pick and choose and let's go after Dudu and let's call it victimized her. Not at all.
And I'm glad you went there because it certainly creates the perception that you are victimizing her, you are singling her out because OUTA is not only concerned about what happened at SAA, but across the public sector. What about other state-owned entities where directors have also, presided over running these entities into the ground? Why haven't you taken any of them on and have them declared delinquent?
That's a good question. And may I just say that we are an organization passionate about what we do, but we cannot do everything. Resources is limited, and we all know that court cases, unfortunately, are a bit expensive. How do you eat an elephant at this point in time? Because we have a huge problem with corruption, little bit by little bit. So this is our way of making a small change in trying to, hold people to account. The question is, maybe the question should rather be, why didn't SAA do this? We've got a change of the board. We, hopefully we are on the right path. We want to eradicate corruption and all of that, and we want to hold. Why is SAA not here? So we believe it was civil society's responsibility to do at least something. Yes, there's a lot more to be done, and we'll get there. It's our passion, and thank goodness for all the support we've received, and thank goodness for all our supporters, because without them we won't be able to do it. But unfortunately, there's so many hours in a day, and we would love to take on each and every delinquent director out there. But for now, we have to concentrate on Dudu. We have to get, this court case going.
How did you decide that this was the best director to go after? Because you take an entity like Eskom, who is way further in the red than SAA is. Why didn't you hone in on Eskom?
Because we were extremely lucky, and hats off to Cynthia Stimple, who was a whistleblower that gave us a lot of the information that we needed to build the case against SAA. So I think it was, all just coming together, and we received all this evidence that made it easy for us to build a case against SAA. And that's why we say, all whistleblowers, all people with evidence, please come to us and share it with us, because we are just as good as the evidence or facts we receive. So again, thank you, Cynthia Stimple, Tuli Mshe, that came to us, trust us, and put us in a position to at least do a little bit from our side by holding some, of the people accountable.
And I think, just to be clear, I'm not saying that OUTA did anything wrong. I'm just trying to understand, because I do believe that there ought to be a whole lot more people in that line to be declared delinquent directors, because they presided over the mess that we finally find that we're seeing in our SOEs at the moment. The other question is, what about the political heads?
Sure,
who would be the shareholders? Why aren't they being taken to task?
That's a minefield. The minute you go the political route, it's a very difficult arena to play in. Now, we are apolitical. If we have to take on a political head because of corruption and maladministration and tax abuse, so it's all about us as South Africans abuse of our taxpayers' money, we will probably do so. But I think what is most important is that there's various levels, and I think we lost a little bit of, people holding each other accountable. There's various layers. Yes, maybe the political head and the ministers. Yes, we probably need to go after them too. But that is probably Parliament's job, to hold the ministers to account. And then you have the next layer, the board, and then your executive.
But why aren't we taking them on? Because I think at some point the Constitutional Court even pronounced that Parliament was not doing its oversight duty very diligently.
Yes.
So why aren't we taking that on as OUTA?
Well, we should. I think, again, I'm going to say we wish we could do everything. I honestly, I wish we could do. As it is, the day doesn't have enough hours for all the stuff that we need to do. And yes, civil society takes their responsibility extremely serious. But if you really, really think about it, it's actually not our job. That is the job of Parliament holding the political heads and ministers to account. It is your board that is supposed to hold your executive to account. Because all of that failed. Now it's civil society that has to hold these people to account. And we do that with pride. But somewhere along the line, we lost this ability to hold each other to account. But if civil society has to do it, we're up for the fight. We're ready. It's just as we've seen that the MPA and the police went through a very bad phase. But hopefully what we've seen is that they're on a good path. And they also have an enormous task to try and, get back, firstly, so that we can trust them, because I think we lost a little bit of faith in two very important institutions. But we see, there's going to be arrest. South Africa needs a little bit of good news. We're going into the festive season.
We need more than arrest. We've seen arrests. We need conviction.
Yes. And that is why I'm saying, yes, we would love to prosecute everyone. We would love to see everyone in jail. But we as civil society can only do, this much. But we've got broad shoulders. We will do everything if we have to, but we still hope that we can get government and the people that should be held accountable, that they step up to the plate, say, we are fighting, we're combating corruption, and we're going to turn all our SOEs around, not for them, but for us as South Africans, because I think we deserve it.
So don't you think government and some of these departments in question should have joined you in this particular lawsuit?
Yes.
Are you not taken aback by the fact that they didn't?
Yes, and we actually, it's not the first time that we sort of alluded to and we actually asked straight out, shouldn't you come and join us? This is, although, let me be honest, I mean, it's rewarding to fight on behalf of civil society, fight on behalf in the public interest, all our supporters. It's really, really, really rewarding. But, you know, the question is, where is the people that is supposedly, yes, we're going to clean up, we're going to take the SOE in the right direction, where are they?
And just finally, what are your plans with this defamation case, should it land on your table?
Well, firstly, you know, we're looking forward to being served the paper so that we can see what this is about. Obviously, we'll read it, we'll see what this is about, and I'm quite sure that we will vigorously defend it, and we're looking forward to it.
Well, that's where we're going to have to leave it. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Advocate Stefanie Fick, Head of Legal Affairs at OUTA, talking to us about their case with former South African Airways board chairperson Dudu Myeni. We're going to take a break and then we'll bring you the latest news.